Goff throws. And the 49ers have won the Super Bowl.
And now your host, Ryan Hensley.
Now your host, Ryan Hensley.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. I'm here with my guy Crock. What's up, Crock? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Well, actually, you know what? I just filled my gas tank up and it's got me rethinking life. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
yeah,
I think I got it at 5.57 a gallon, 5.67 a gallon. And I was like, you know what? That's ridiculous. I'm hoping everything goes well. I'm in escrow for a home. I know I've been kind of keeping you updated on that whole thing. But as soon as this whole thing clears out, I'm trading my Charger in. I'm going to get a Tesla. So, I don't know how people drive around California without having a Tesla. I bought my Charger. I got my Charger. You know, I got a Hemi and all that. I got it in Arkansas. You don't drive a whole lot. Gas is cheaper. You don't drive a lot, so it's not that big a deal. Man, you come here, those gas prices, crazy. I drive way more. I probably spend a car note worth of gas, money on gas every month. So, I got to go get a Tesla, or somebody said Tesla scrap, some kind of electric car, but I can't keep doing the Hemi.
Bro, I feel you, dude. I don't know if you saw, but I posted about this on Saturday. I don't really watch gas prices that much because there's nothing I can do about it, but I paid $6.07 on Saturday per gallon. My wife, she wanted a Benz. I don't even care about cars. I want
so
a
you
truck.
got to do the premium gas.
You got to do the premium. $6.07, dude. Luckily, we don't drive a lot. My commute to work 10 feet out my backyard door, but and she works at home too. But man, like it makes me want. I just want a truck, but I know that's pretty expensive too. But yeah, you know what's weird too is that all the refineries are right here in California, and we pay more than, I don't know how it works, but it don't make sense to me why we paying so much, man.
I actually, because, you know, I work from home, right? Podcast, whether I jump on with you or my YouTube or with Peacock. So that's not why I drive a lot. I'm kind of the, what they call Mr. Mom, like a stay-at-home mom, because, you know, I work from home, and my wife, you know, she's an RN, so she drives a lot, but they pay her for her gas with what she does. And for me, it's, you know, taking the kids to school or picking them up and taking them to their practices, or this one has track, this one has basketball, this one has a basketball workout on this side of town, this one has, you know, track workout or speed workout. And I feel like that's most of my driving that kills me.
Yeah, I had them days, bro. Like before we got the Benz, I used to drive a minivan around this town, bro, because I have 4 kids, man. It was the only way to do it. My wife, she worked out of the house, and I worked from the house, so I was doing the same thing. I was in a minivan, a little Toyota Sienna minivan, driving around this town. It was so nice to get rid of that thing. Now that my kids are big, bro, I was like, yes. Yeah. You see me in a minivan, dog?
The minivan, that's just something I just could not do. I can't do it. I see my bro Abel in the chat. Abel, he's known me since 4th grade. That's my dog, been my bro since 4th grade. He says you always been frugal / cheap. I like to look at it as I guess frugal. I don't know. Part of it's frugal, but I mean, I've been broke. So when you're broke, you kind of have no choice but to be frugal. And I think I just kind of continued having, for the most part, like that mindset about things where if it makes sense, I'm good with it, right? Like, you know, been purchasing a home. You got to pay whatever. All right, whatever. There ain't no way around it. But gas, I hate spending money on gas and food. Those are 2 things. Because food, you're going to poop it out 30 minutes after you eat. So spending $200 on a dinner, I hate that. And then gas. I mean, it's just, you turn around in this continuous thing. So I'll spend a little more on certain things. Gas and food, 2 things I hate it.
I feel you, dude. My wife calls me cheap too. I say frugal. She calls me cheap. I did just get the plug, bro. Here's what I did, man. I I have a slow cooker, a crock pot, and man, I made these fire ass chicken burritos. They're hella healthy, high protein chicken burritos. I made like 18 of them, threw them in the freezer.
Yeah.
And so every day for lunch, I got a healthy chicken burrito, man, because I'm still trying to lose some pounds. So, but the whole thing, I did the math. It cost me $32 for 18 burritos.
See, that's the way to go.
Yeah,
you done cracked the code.
I cracked the code, man. Speaking of cracking the code, man, what do you think about this whole? And we're gonna talk Niners, I promise you guys. But what do you think about this whole Kendrick, Cole, Drake thing that's going on right now?
Oh, got to throw Rick Ross in there too. And
Rick
if you
Ross.
noticed the difference in my mic, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I wasn't connected to a mic until just now. So, anyways, but Kendrick, Cole, Rick Ross, everybody included. I love it. And I think it's a lot easier when you like everybody involved, right? So for me, and Kendrick just dropped something. Some people say maybe AI, but I think it's him. But for me, it's more so like the sport of it and being a competitive person and then liking all these artists. So I'm excited and can't wait to hear what each one says, and I think when there's someone you don't like, maybe you take offense to something or you feel like you got to take a side. That kind of happened with, let's say, Cam Newton and Brock Purdy, right? We're going to tie the 49ers here. Cam Newton comes out and he's like, all right, system quarterback. I kind of like, okay, I can take that perspective. I can listen to him without having to poke at him. That's what people did, right? They turned to him. Oh, you're insecure, you're jealous, or you're this and that because you're not on the team and you're bitter, right? Like that was the main thing. And me, I just looked at it like, okay, I hear your perspective, like okay, and I try to hear that side of it. And then for anyone that's like, nah, man, Brock, he's great, he's this and that. I hear that perspective. I'm cool with everybody, right? So with these artists, it's the same thing. Where, man, I love Drake, for what he is and how he can come. And when he has that 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. time step, I know he's going to come with it with the bars. I know he's also going to make a lot of music that might be for more of the ladies or more emotional. And then when he wants to really rap, he can rap, and I appreciate him for that. Kendrick, I know how Kendrick going to come. I know how Rick Ross going to come. I know how, Future, everybody involved. So even Cole. So for me, it's just appreciating competition within football. Rap. And I think it just makes it much more enjoyable. So I'm sitting back and I'm loving every bit of this.
Yeah, I actually like all three guys for what they are. To me, the best one, if I had to pick one, I'm going with Kendrick. He's just more aggressive delivery, where J. Cole and Drake, they're very similar on their delivery, which is cool. There's a time and place for it. And you got to respect Drake for all the numbers the guy put some numbers, man. Like more than Michael Jackson, like wild amounts of like hits and albums sold and streams. So I respect Drake too. He's just a little bit more pop to me, but that's why I like Kendrick, man. And I saw you posted the snapback by Kendrick this morning. I'm not sure if that's real or AI. It's hard to tell nowadays, but I feel like when Kendrick comes back all the way, he's probably, to me, he's going to be, because not only does he have he has really good bars but he also has that delivery that puts a little energy on it, So Kendrick's my guy, man, out of all three.
Yeah. I like all these dudes. And Drake, I'll say this about Drake. I love the Rick Ross diss about, the white boy that hung out with the black people at the park. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I get those vibes. That's why I like what Ross had to say. But Drake can really rap when he wants to rap. Like when he wants to rap, like I like it. Yeah. People listen to, he dropped his diss. And I think because it's Drake and there's a lot of people that don't like Drake, they just want to immediately push back. But I thought it was pretty good. Like I thought, I like the shots that he took at dudes. I like, the aggression in his tone with it. Is he going to give you the same kind of bars as Kendrick? Probably not. But I like for the sport. I will say this: the biggest loser in all of this is J. Cole, because J. Cole, he came out and it's like, I like it. Like you punch back, whether people liked it or not, whatever. But you punch back, cool. For the competitive aspect of the sport. And Kendrick, if this is a real diss, turned around and used it against you and said you bowed out. And that's the part where you did it for your piece. And if you're at peace with that, then great. But the people you're competing with, maybe it's for just entertainment purposes, but he used that against you. Right. And that was tough. That was tough.
Yeah. And you know what is weird is because I have mixed feelings on J. Cole doing that. Like on one side, I'm like, come on, man, that's not, Pac would never, you know what I'm saying? But also, like I relate to that, like when it comes to like people on Twitter, and like I don't even have the energy to snap back on fools now. Now it's just like I'm gonna block you, mute you, move on, because it just messes with it. It consumes too much of your own energy. So I understand why J. Cole did that, but also it's rap, it's hip hop. And so
we also came from a different era though, right? Like I grew up on Pac, Ice Cube and his, so I think sometimes, especially like some people that are even a little bit older than me, if you grew up in a certain era, then nothing that these guys do right now, you're probably not going to be overly impressed with. But for me, just the sport, because you don't see a whole lot of it. I think I just appreciate it. But yeah, if you grew up on Ice Cube with No Vaseline and Pac coming out first, I F you, and I was like 10 years old when that came out. I knew every word. You know what I'm saying? If you grew up on that, there's a lot of people that's not going to be happy with anything that these guys do with their diss tracks. But for me, I kind of look at it as, in football, you don't see a lot of big hits in football anymore, right? Like big hit, you get fined. And I think for all of us, you gotta adjust with the times. And I think with the times, what's going on with these, beefs or whatever's going on right now, you just gotta appreciate it for what it is. So from that perspective, I like it.
Yeah, my wife's old school. She grew up in Long Beach, listening to like Crock and Snoop and all those people, Pac. And I'm like trying to defend J. Cole, and she's like, soft. I'm like, yeah, man. I think it's an era thing for sure. Yeah. How you doing on the hard 75 or whatever? You still?
I feel day 12. No, I'm still working out. I hit the weights this morning. I'm coming straight from the gym right now, but 75 hard. I got to figure out a better system for me. And the way I felt, I got one workout in, still ate clean. I didn't finish my gallon of water. I didn't get my second workout in outside. So that was how I felt.
Yeah, it just kind of motivated me. I can't stick with that specific program, but it did
it's
motivate
hard.
me to work out, eat healthy.
That's what it's designed for. It's designed to be extremely difficult. And if you make it through the 75 days, you'll look at yourself a different way because you accomplished something that either you thought you couldn't do or very few people accomplish. Right. And when we say very few, it's just very few in the sense of how many people started. There are plenty of people that have finished it. But the amount of people that have finished as opposed to the people who have started or started several times, very few finish. So a very small percentage of people. So I think that's what it seems like, something that you can't do. And it's supposed to be, because once you accomplish it, it's like, man, something that very few people can. And if I could do that, I could do anything. And that's why it's designed.
And it also motivates you like, all right, maybe I can't stick with that particular program, but I can do this and that. And that's kind of what it's done for me, I think. I thought this was funny, bro. Tony Nagatani says, I think Crock needs to launch his own strand of medical cannabis called Crock Pot. I thought
I don't smoke, but I'm intrigued. and maybe that'll make chill. I'm pretty mellow in general, but maybe that make me mellow out a little bit more. I've thought about, again, our podcast. I make good money doing this. I don't get drug tested. So I've thought about every once in a while, maybe, dabbling a little bit at night, just, chill, relax. But smoking just never been my thing. So, we'll see. Maybe one day.
It's a business opportunity, if nothing else. Dave Barkley says got carried away at work, missed the first 11 minutes. Well, thank you for being here, man. We haven't talked any 49er stuff. We've been talking rap beefs. So let's dive into it, though, man.
Real quick. Eddie asked, did I get the house? So right now, Eddie, and I've talked to Eddie on the phone as well. I'm in escrow, waiting right now for the underwriter approval. But right now, everything is going well. Everything is very optimistic as of right now. I don't want to, jump out there too much, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, nope, you can't do it because of this. Can't sell you the home. But as of right now, everything is looking good. Wife is happy. I'm excited. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's why I tell all my clients is try to not count it as yours until it's closed, man, because you don't want to get disappointed. But you're at a good spot right now. It seems like you're on the way, and I know once you get it, you're gonna have your own studio at the crib, right?
Man, yeah, dude, I'm right here. So that's the thing I can't wait for. If anybody has noticed kind of a downshift in a lot of my content, it's because I hate how I have to record. I'm in the kitchen right now, recording on a little kitchen counter with my wife still behind, or I'm in the living room right here with, and then there'll be people making noise around me. It is extremely difficult. I don't know how I focus, especially during Locked On, because Locked On, a lot of times we'll record, my wife's home, my daughter's home, my other daughter might be here, and there's noise going on around me, and I'm having to mute it while people are talking around me, then I unmute it for me to give my take. It is difficult. And I did not have to deal with this when I was in Arkansas. I have my own office. I have my setup. So I put out a lot more content. I was more consistent with a lot of things. But I can't wait to get this house so I can set up my office and record in peace. No dog. My wife's dog be barking and jumping up here on my lap while I'm trying to record and talk to Peacock. So I think I'm most excited about that aspect of buying a house, being able to have my podcast studio and write off that space.
Right. Yeah, that's big, right? Being able to write it off, man. Well, I'm happy for you, brother. And congratulations. Looking forward to congratulating you fully when you get the keys in your hand.
Yeah.
Let's talk Niners, brother. Devontae Smith signed a 3-year, $75 million, $51 million guaranteed. We've heard a lot of stuff over the weekend. First, somebody released a report that Brandon Aiyuk requested a trade. We know he unfollowed the 49ers on social media for whatever that means. Then Brandon Aiyuk's agent snapped back and said, no, we didn't request a trade. Then we find out this morning Devontae Smith signs 3 years, $75 million, $51 million guaranteed. What do you think of all this? What does this mean for Brandon Aiyuk? Where do you think this is going?
I like it in the sense of, kind of trying to send a message. First, let's talk about the money that Devontae Smith got. There's a lot of people trying to figure out where Brandon Aiyuk fits in the market. Is he a, top 5 receiver? Is he going to get top 5 kind of money, with the Jamar Chases and those guys? I'd say Justin Jefferson, you throw him in there, maybe even CeeDee Lamb, maybe not. But how far underneath those guys is he going to be? And you look at, Devontae Smith, and I think right there, he's within that range. Devontae Smith has been very productive. Yeah. He's been a good, productive, receiver in his time in the NFL, multiple 1,000-yard seasons. I'd say the 49ers, if you're the 49ers, you may should prioritize Aiyuk slightly more than the Eagles prioritize Devontae Smith. Now, I say you should because, in the Philly, they got A.J. Brown. And we know what he's doing. He's been terrific, right? And then you have him, and they're kind of like the big dogs that kind of make this whole thing go. Obviously, they paid the quarterback, but it hasn't been like the super run-heavy offense. We'll see. They got Saquon Barkley, but, it hasn't been like it's been more of a focal point of you got AJ, then you got Devontae, then like Dallas Goedert and everybody else. 49ers is like you got CMC, and then they actually give Debo more touches, and then Aiyuk, who led the team in yards and catches and all that, but you also have Kittle, who's a 1,000-yard pass catcher, as well as what he does in the run game. So, where do you prioritize Brandon Aiyuk from a monetization standpoint, all things considered? Where again, Devontae Smith he's number 2. Yeah. I don't know exactly where Aiyuk is with the 49ers. So with Smith coming in 3 years, $25 million a year, 51 guaranteed. Do the 49ers value Aiyuk the same in their offense as the Eagles? And I would say 49ers fans, well, heck yeah, man. Like, of course they do. And if that's the case, then he should be shooting around $27 million a year. Yeah. But the 49ers might say, not quite. We feel like the offense goes through these other guys. And yes, we throw the ball the most to Aiyuk, but that's by default, and if that's the case, then they might be shooting for numbers closer to 22, 23 a year. Yeah. And that would be slightly under what Debo got per year. And will Aiyuk be willing to take that? I would say no, because Aiyuk's argument should and would be, well, I've been, if you target me more, I can do what CeeDee Lamb and those other guys are doing. But you guys don't. I led the league in receiving yards per catch. Right, like I had the 30th most targets in the NFL, but the 7th most yards. 29 people got targeted more than me. Only 6 have more yards than me. So, and one of those guys is like DJ Moore. DJ Moore had 18 more yards than I. So we're talking about, and he got way more targets, more targets, but only 18 more yards. So if I'm Aiyuk, there's an argument here from both sides. 49ers, hey man, we got a lot of people before we get to you, right? In the sense of our pecking order of how important they are to this offense. And if I'm Aiyuk, I'm like, man, if I have more opportunities, I would be much more productive and get money like these other guys. So I think that's where the battle is going to be.
Do you think, does it take place in these negotiations, like actual playing, like conversations about prioritization? Like, does BA's agent tell the 49ers, or does BA tell the 49ers, look, not only this is what we want from a numeric standpoint, but I want to have a bigger role in this offense. I need to be targeted more. Do those conversations happen in these talks?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of it, so that's what the incentives, right? Like that's what the incentives are for. If you hit certain numbers or whatever, then you'll get a bump in pay. I think once you get paid and you have that guaranteed amount, it's kind of whatever from that standpoint, outside of wanting to hit those incentives that you may have in your contract. But I think the biggest conversation with all that is leading up to trying to get paid. So, Aiyuk is entering in a time being able to get his first big payday. Right. So when you're trying to get your first big payday, dude, I want to be. You think he said that stuff in the media for no reason? Oh man, I was 1,000-yard receiver being the fourth option on the team.
Right.
You think he's out there throwing his jersey out there? Look how clean this jersey is. Y'all didn't target me, right? And he wants to win, and he's clearly a competitor. I can see that with how he plays. But everybody wants to get paid as well. He has a kid. He has a woman. You got to support your family. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that the conversations as far as wanting to get the ball more and those type of incentives will go into this contract, but the kind of the hay is in the barn, as they say right now, in the sense of how the 49ers value him if they were to give him a contract right now.
Do you think let me ask your opinion, do you think he should be prioritized higher, right? It seems like they target Debo more than Brandon Aiyuk. He's involved in the run game as well. He gets a lot more touches than Brandon Aiyuk. I don't think that should be the case, but I want to know your opinion. Do you think that Debo should get more touches than Brandon Aiyuk?
I love the fact that Debo gets a lot of touches because he's so special with the ball in his hands. But, right, and I love Debo, probably my favorite player in the NFL right now. Just love the way he plays, the way he carries himself, all that. But I complain. Here's the thing, and with social media, with the 49er fan base, and like, Crock, you're complaining the 49ers are 13-3 or whatever they are, right? And my thing is, I don't care about this game or this moment, right? Like for me, it's more so about building towards what's going to win you a championship. Like, well, what you gotta build how and what is going to get us to win a championship in that moment, right? In that specific moment. So a lot of people they'll look at the 3-game skid that the 49ers had. And my thing was, I gotta see Brock be able to overcome this adversity when everything ain't great, when everything's not perfect. Can you figure out a way to will the 49ers in the win? Whether it's, oh man, where the kicker missed a kick, or Debo's out. There's just going to be things in the biggest moment, which that's what the 49ers are planning for. That's where they're heading. In the biggest moment, there's going to be something where you're going to need to be able to go above and beyond. And I felt like all this year, Brandon Aiyuk in the offense was obviously they used him. He's the most targeted guy in the passing game, but not in the sense of how I felt like they could have utilized him. And because they didn't utilize him that way, and it's just like, Kyle's like, man, I'm going to run my offense, and my offense is going to go through CMC, and then we're going to get the ball in Debo's hands, and then let's hit Aiyuk on this and that, and you got an explosive play or whatever, and this works, and it's an efficient offense, cool. But when you got in the Super Bowl, and it got a little tight, there was no change-up. It's like, they got to beat on what we're doing, and they've countered it by doing this. And what's our counter to their counter? And we didn't see it. And what I would have ideally liked, all right, we're going to bring it back to Aiyuk, is throughout the year, feature him in the passing game. And they didn't. It was, hey, we're going to run this concept, and based off this concept, hey, we might get Aiyuk the ball, we may not. But if you watch a lot of the other big-time receivers and what teams are doing with those guys, in those moments, and I'm not saying that that's what you need to win. Obviously, the Chiefs, I don't know if they featured. Well, as a matter of fact, they did with Travis Kelce. So, and the 49ers shut them down in the first half. Then in the second half, what did they start doing? Hey, we're going to motion Travis Kelce across this formation. We're going to clear it out. We're going to run a drag underneath for him. And this is specific to get him the ball, right? In space, run and catch opportunities. When did the 49ers do things like that for Brandon Aiyuk, your most prolific pass catcher that you have? It's everything with him is X receiver stationary. Whether he's on the outside, whether he's in the slot, he is more times than not stationary.
Yeah.
And when the Chiefs say, all right, well, we're going to counter these things by just playing press against him and making life difficult. And the 49ers are like, okay, well, we're just going to keep doing this. So now Aiyuk is in a dogfight with a good corner, and maybe he wins a rep, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he wins a rep that we didn't see or that he didn't get thrown the ball. But you still didn't do anything to feature him. Motion Aiyuk, bro. Motion him from left to right. Motion him to a stack. Motion him to a bunch. Get him a free release. Make the corner have to play off. You got a corner being physical at the line of scrimmage with him. Help him, which would in turn help your quarterback. And I felt like the 49ers just did not do that enough. So when you ask about, prioritizing him and whatnot, the way they did it showed me he's a piece to the passing game, but he is not the piece to the offense.
And I feel like he should be, man. Maybe he should be number 2. I would love to see more Kittle as well, but I guess not everybody can get the ball. I got a question for you, man. It came up a few days ago. You've been in a lot of locker rooms, right? You're a coach in high school. You've been in NFL locker rooms, college locker rooms. I was a basketball coach. So when I heard this quote from Peyton Manning, I was shocked, basically saying that halftime adjustments are an overrated. They don't make, according to Peyton Manning, they go in the locker room, they get some water, drink some oranges, and go back out on the field, right? Like that there's not really such thing as a halftime adjustment in the NFL, which is shocking to me because in the NBA, in college basketball, in high school basketball, it's the key to winning basketball games. Is like a big part of it. Do they make halftime adjustments in the NFL at halftime?
So if he's saying scrap whatever game plan you came into the game with and restart a whole new game plan, then I would say, no, that does not happen. So from that standpoint, I think he's correct. But there are minor adjustments that you can make. Hey, coach, we're seeing him. And these can happen in game, right? Like, why are they sitting on the sideline with the iPads and all that? Right. High school level, we got this jumbo TV on the sideline with an iPad, and I'm able to go through. And I'm able to see, are they doing what I thought they were going to do? Or are they doing things a little bit different? And if they're doing something a little different, or if I'm seeing something from my guy, hey, let's adjust and play it this way, right? Okay, I had you, press Belling in this position, but instead, look how he's running this route. Let's just sit off at 5, and now we're going to play catch. So there are adjustments that happen, maybe not for the quarterback, but I would assume even then, I mean, we heard it from Jimmy Garoppolo. If you remember, I don't know, for whatever reason, I have like this encyclopedia bank of just random things.
Yeah.
But Jimmy Garoppolo, they did the little sound on or whatever it is from like that fourth quarter win against Tennessee Titans the first year he was with the Niners. It was like week. I don't know, it was at the end. He started those last 5 games or so. And 49ers played Tennessee, and he had to come from behind win. And he's talking to Trent Taylor, and he's like, "All right, Trent, hey, when you see this, I want you to bend it like this, and I'm gonna hit it. Like that's an adjustment, right? Yeah. Hey, usually we run it like this, but I see them doing this, so as soon as you get here, you clean it, the ball's gonna be on you. Boom, right? That's an adjustment. So adjustments do happen. Scrapping a game plan does not happen." Mm. We heard the Chiefs coach. What did the Chiefs coach say? Hey, man, we came out in some zone. We didn't like how that looked against Brock Purdy and what he was doing. So we said, all right, we're going to scrap that. We're going to go man. Like, that's an adjustment.
Right.
So I mean,
right. Maybe it's more Peyton because he's so actively changing things and controlling things throughout the game. Maybe he doesn't need to adjust at halftime as much as other teams or other quarterbacks. Maybe that's more of a Peyton Manning thing because he's constantly probably adjusting. But I thought that was weird, man, because I know in basketball it could be the difference. For real, it could be a big difference. We got some super chats, man. Let's hit them up. Tia says, my husband and I were discussing this. The question is, do Kyle choose Debo over Aiyuk? Kyle is closer to Debo than BA. I think he has so far. He definitely has so far. He's prioritized Debo over Aiyuk. I think it should be the other way around, personally. And then Tia says, BA remembers how he was treated by Kyle in the beginning. He's not taking a hometown discount. Kyle thinks he doesn't need certain players. Yeah, it was funny because Brandon Aiyuk tweeted out or put on his Instagram story more emojis, right? And he says something about big dogs. Big dogs it's got to be in the doghouse or something like that. Something like that to that effect, which I thought was interesting. Thank you for the super chats, by the way. And then I'm gonna answer Tony. We'll answer Tony's question last. But Dave Barkley says, "Do you still need $50 super chat?" Thank you, Dave. Says, "Do you still need live ads? It is always very opportune timing. Love you guys. Crock is so knowledgeable in this, and it's great to listen to. Thank you guys for the love for doing this and your time and candor. I'm so curious about draft choices. I got draft choices on the menu, and Dave, thank you for the super chat. Crock is amazing at this. That's why I was thrilled that he agreed to do this with me. But as far as do I need live ads, here's the thing, man. I got to do ads because, I do want to be compensated. You do a great job of helping me with the super chats, and I thought about doing it after the live stream, but it's just like because of my process, I'll forget. Like if I don't do it before the stream, I'll forget after the stream, and I won't get monetized for my videos, man. So I'll continue to try to minimize it as much as possible. And with these amazing super chats you keep sending me, I should probably reduce those. And then real quick, Tony, I want to get your take on this one, Croc. Tony says, how do you think the new kickoff rules will affect Debo's value to the Niners? Will Debo be the full kickoff returner now? What do you think of the new kickoff rules, Croc? And then who do you think the return man is going to be? And Debo?
I think with Debo Samuel, we'll start with him. I think you want to minimize the hits he takes, just regardless, right? And that's with any star player that you have. So it would be more like situational, having him back there, which 49ers have done, right? Like just situationally, they've had him back there. I remember, divisional round playoffs against Green Bay and 0-degree weather is a key moment. What they do, all right, Debo, you got to go back there and return this kick. And he returned it around, midfield. So situationally, I could see him doing that. But as far as what I think about the new kickoff, from someone who got cut from the NFL, and a big part of it was I sucked at special teams, and a big part of me sucking at special teams was kickoff return, being a blocker. Everybody looks at the kick returners in the value in that. What about the guys that got to block? And as someone, 6'2", 200-pound cornerback, I wasn't a small corner, but I was small when you have 6'5", 260-pound DNs running at you. I got to get back to a spot and then take on this dude and try to block him. Like, it was ridiculous. And some people are really good at it. I just sucked at it, all right? But for that purpose, I'm like, oh, yeah, I would much rather what they're doing now. So I kind of have a soft spot for the people that were kind of like me or trying to make a team like me. And I would say, man, I would like this more, where it's only kind of like that 5-yard head start that they get, or a 6-7 yard head start. I kind of get to a spot and I can kind of block them or shoot them off. It eliminates a lot of big impact. If you want to see a lot of big impacts, then you're probably not going to like this. But if you want to see guys, be able to kind of, maybe potentially make a team because it's a little bit easier for them to block, I like it for those guys. But as far as the returns, I think a lot of people view it and say, oh, you're going to have a lot of touchdowns now. But I was watching one of the clips and example somebody gave, and in the XFL, it was like week 7, and it was the first kickoff return for a touchdown that year. So I don't think it's going to be something like all of a sudden we're just seeing touchdowns all over the place. But I don't dislike it. I think it actually brings back the kickoff return because there's incentives for you to kick it in play as opposed to out. If you kick it out of bounds, they get the ball on the 30-yard line. That's starting good field position. If you kick it between the 20 and the goal line, they have to return it. So I think we'll see a lot more returns, and we're talking about jobs, making a team. I think returners now are going to be more valuable.
Yeah, I agree, man. I actually really like the new rule. The reason why is, well, for one, it's supposed to keep the players a little healthier. It's dangerous play, kickoff return. And that's important to me because I don't want to see guys go down. I want to see the best of the best playing, not injured, not on IR. But really, there's going to be a lot more returns, and it's a curveball, right? Because before you kick out, it's basically just 75% touchbacks. Like literally, I think that's the statistics. It was a commercial break, kickoff, commercial break, and it really made the game boring. So this is going to it's going to energize the game a little bit more. And we're going to see more kick returns, and it's different. So I like seeing a little switch, a little variance.
You're going to see that number flipped. So 75% were touchbacks. Yeah. I think now it's going to be 75% return, 25% touchbacks.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to speaking to a possible solution at kick return. I was thinking about Ronnie Bell the other day, not just kick return, not just as a kick return. And to be honest, watching him return punts, kind of freaked me out a little bit. He looks a little sketchy on punt returns with his catching, right? So I'm a little worried about that. But I am wondering if we're sleeping on Ronnie Bell a little bit because, he was one of the guys, one of the rookies that actually saw the field. He showed some good things out there. It's his sophomore year. Maybe he has an Aaron Banks type season where he goes from just barely playing to being a big role in this offense, especially with this wide receiver stuff, up and down. What do you think about Ronnie Bell in year 2?
I think for him, year 3 is kind of the year, right? You look at year 2, for him, he's still, I believe and I think a lot of people won't view it this way because of the size difference, but the Kendrick Bourne role, the Juwan Jennings role, I think he fits like that role. One of the things that I felt like Kyle probably valued the most when looking at him in the draft throughout that process as a prospect was his blocking ability. Like that jumped out more to me than anything else.
Yeah.
I watched him block a guy, stay on the block. The running back scored, and he's pumped, like he's amped up. Yeah. And I'm like, that's why Kyle likes him, right? Like just that mindset, as well as he can give you, obviously, production as a pass catcher. So when you look at Kendrick Bourne, you look at Juwan Jennings, it was never predicated on them being the guy, but can you be physical in the run game and block? And then, hey, when I need a third down play and I need somebody to go to, can you just make that catch? And I think, if you're talking about Ronnie Bell year 2 or year 3 as your wide receiver 1, no. But if you're talking about as a guy that has a specific role on this team, and we've seen that role filled by a 7th round pick and an undrafted guy, I do believe he can be that. So I'm not sure if he'll be that this year because obviously Juwan Jennings is back on the team, but potentially moving forward, I could see him being that guy for the 49ers.
Yeah, and they lost Ray McLeod, different kind of player than Ronnie Bell, but that is a loss of a guy they would turn to before Ronnie Bell. So I don't know what that means. They did re-sign Mike Conley, who I like. He's a good receiver, veteran receiver, and when he plays, he does well. But I also think they're going to be drafting one within the first 5 rounds. Whether that person can see the field or not, yet to be determined. With Kyle Shanahan, it seems like rookies have a hard time seeing the field. But I think we can see a slight tick up in Ronnie Bell touches this coming season with the absence of Ray McLeod plus his second year. But we'll see who they draft. Speaking of drafting, brother, John Lynch was up at Washington and really there to see 2 guys. Really, I think it's one guy. He went there to see the tackles, Troy Fatanu and Roger Rosengarten. And Troy Fatanu, unless the 49ers do trade BA and move way up in this draft, I don't think they have any chance of getting Troy Fatanu. But I think they can get Roger Rosengarten probably in the 2nd round. And I think this is a realistic option. When I go through these draft scenarios, it seems like the best available player at 31 is probably not a tackle. There's some defensive tackles that pop up that could be the best available. There's corners that pop up that could be the best available. And so I could see the 49ers passing on a Kingsley or a Jordan Morgan in the 1st round and instead deciding to go with a Roger Rosengarten in the 2nd round. What do you think about that? I mean, there's a reason John Lynch went to that pro day.
Well, I would say you never know, right? You got to, cross your T's and dot all your I's. So, we talked a lot about Brandon Aiyuk. Who's to say approaching the draft, someone doesn't offer him something that he can't refuse? And not saying that's going to happen for 49 fans, but let's say that does happen, right? Kind of like the DeForest Buckner situation. Hopefully you did your due diligence on guys that you potentially would like if you were in a different draft slot. So when you think of Fatanu, and I think he was one of my favorite guys I've watched so far on film, he's definitely going to go higher than Rosengarten. Now, let's talk about Rosengarten because he's intriguing. I've seen some mocks that have him mocked to the 49ers at 31. I don't know. I just watched the film. Okay, I saw somebody say they have a 3rd in the chat right now, 3rd or 4th round grade on them. I just watch and I just talk about what I'm seeing. I've seen a lot of people push back on him being a guy at 31. I would say watching him, he feels like someone the 49ers may prioritize more than other people. The biggest knock I've seen from what people have been saying, is he lacks that anchor, right? He doesn't have a super strong anchor, whether he's being bull rushed, etc. And when I watch 49ers offensive linemen and some of the guys they've liked, like who have been, really productive and solid for them, right? Like just being able to have a McKivitz, who, started an entire year for you. Daniel Brunskill. Daniel Brunskill played very well at tackle for the 49ers. And then he played well at guard. I don't think he had the strongest anchor. I don't even think the 49ers prioritized being able to just really bully guys. But can you move well in space? In a zone blocking offense, can you wall off guys? Can you get to your landmark and be quick enough to get there and then wall guys off? And I think with Rosengarten, again, does not have the best anchor in just straight, strength. But I feel like in a zone blocking scheme, the 49ers may have prioritized his movement skills a little more than other people. So are the 49ers looking for an offensive lineman that just this amazing pass protector? They've showed us it's not really their thing. But can we bring in a guy that helps us work off of the run and then have passing protection from there? And it feels like Rosengarten can be that guy. So whether you pick him at 31, second round, third round, or fourth round, I do feel like he's a guy that fits what a lot of the 49ers have liked in their tackles right now, unless they change something. Or unless you're drafting higher and you're able to prioritize, a better tackle.
Right. Yeah, if they trade BA, that's going to change things. If they trade BA, I feel like they get an offensive lineman. I don't think they're trading Brandon Aiyuk. I really don't. I've been back and forth. I think a deal gets done. I think we see the same thing that happens with Debo. Sebo.
We've been talking about rappers, so
yeah, rappers. I don't know if you guys know what Sebo is from Sack, but that was an old school rapper. Stomping in my steel toes. I used to listen to that. But yeah, man, I think they figure it out with Brandon Aiyuk later. I think that's probably what happens. I don't think he gets traded, but if they do, Troy Fatanu, they'll probably move up and get a really good tackle. If not, I'm hoping Roger Rosengarten drops to the second round when they pick, because that would be, to me, a great pick in round 2. In round 1, I'd be a little bit like, you're not really doing best player available if that's what you're doing.
Did John Lynch do something you're not supposed to do? He was all in at the Washington Pro Day. I mean, I saw him decked out in Washington gear. As a Stanford grad,
that's crazy.
Are you supposed to do that?
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, but he's there for a reason, man. So I know he's probably interested in both these guys. If they move up, they'll probably get Troy Fatanu. If not, I think they can get Roger in the second from all the mocks I do, but who knows, man. We'll see what happens.
The tough thing is feeling like this guy's a second round pick, right? Like, even if you're thinking late second round pick, do you say, you know what? We like him a lot, but man, we're drafting at the tail end of the first round and we don't draft again to the tail end of the second round. Do you say, all right, move up? That is a guy we identify with. Like, do we either potentially trade back and see if he's available, or do you say, you know what, let's hang tight, let's draft something at 31, and then if need be, if he's there in the middle of the second, trade up? Now, the issue with that is we've heard John Lynch and I listened to Middlecoff's 3 and Out, and he was talking to Mike Mayock, and Mayock was talking about how, man, we desperately tried to trade out of that pick when they drafted the kid out of Clemson who 49ers just had at the end.
Oh, you talking about is that Drake?
No. Out of Clemson. In the 49ers, Cleveland Farrell.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
They weren't trying to draft Cleveland Farrell. They actually were trying to trade with the 49ers to draft Nick Bosa. They had 49ers. Like, absolutely not. Right. We're taking Nick Bosa. And they were like, gosh. And they were trying to trade back, and they just couldn't. So they try to trade up, they try to trade back. So that's the tough thing that you risk. You don't want to overdraft a guy, right? Like, you don't want to take a guy just because it's kind of a position of need. We would like to improve on McKivitz, but we don't want to reach for a guy, but we like him. But man, take him at 31 when this player is higher on our draft board, but there's no guarantee we can trade up in the second to grab him, or even he's going to be there at pick 63 or 4 or whatever it is. So that's the dilemma and conversation around Rosengarten that's probably being had right now.
I think if I was them, I would draft best player available at 31. If I'm not trading, I'll try to move up in the second to guarantee I get Rosengarten because he's going to be a good player, man. I think he's a good value in the second round, but I wouldn't go crazy with it. I wouldn't go nuts trying to get him. Some of the other things I've done too is in my mocks, I want to say probably 25% of the time, either Byron Murphy or Jackson Powers drops down to 31 and probably like 25% of my mocks. And I think if that happens, either one of those guys, that Niners will for sure jump on either one of those dudes, man, because I don't know how likely that is to happen, but those are really good quality, instant improvements that could play year one for the 49ers. Have you noticed that when you're doing mock drafts that those two guys drop every now and then?
I have not done any mock drafts.
Okay.
I think I've done Peacock and I did like a joint one for the show, and I'm pretty sure we'll do another one coming up. We are doing a network-wide Locked On Network podcast, and Peacock and I think I made the choice, pick 31 for the 49ers. So we have that, but I haven't done any mocks at all.
Maybe we'll do one next Monday because the draft is coming up next week. Not this week, next week. So Monday, if we are able to link back up next Monday, me and Crock, we'll do a draft.
I'll do that, man. And as far as Jackson Powers go, I know Peacock and I, we just watched this film. And today, I think we record around 11 a.m. We'll be talking about him and kind of his fit with the 49ers. And if he does fall out somebody, and again, that starts to, you're bored. How much do you like your center that you have right now? Do you want to get him up out of there and go with a younger guy? Does Kyle like the thought of a center, taking over his offense and kind of being the quarterback on that O-line, calling out protections and things like that? Does he maybe say, you know what, Jackson Powers, I want you to play center, but I want you to start off at right guard, and you have him in there over Spencer Burford, over John Feliciano, and those are questions that he'll really have to think about.
And I like Feliciano better than Burford, Brindell, and McKivitz. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I graded them all. I had McKivitz at like a C-, which is probably being nice, and I had Brindell at C. So I think those are the two biggest needs, even over Feliciano. But long term, it doesn't look like Burford's going to be the answer, and Feliciano's on a year-to-year contract, old veteran. So they need a solution at all three of those spots. Real quick, GTC says, with the new rule on kickoffs, damn, they should have kept gold. Crock, get a hybrid. Teslas are for douchebags, and you're not a douchebag. I don't think he's definitely not. You know what I like, bro? You should check out them Rivian SUVs. Have you checked those out?
I've seen it. So my wife, she'll tell you, like there's certain cars that's me. Like my Charger is me.
Yeah.
It's sporty. I got it's the white Charger with the black spoiler with the black rims, and it's just like that's me. So I don't even like all Teslas. There's only one that I really like, and it's probably one of the more expensive ones. But the Model S. See, I like the Model S, and you give me
that's the one with the doors open up, like no,
that's a little bit bigger.
Okay,
it's the Model S is a little bit longer, it's a little bit lower, and it's more sporty. So I like that, but outside of that, I don't know. They got the little Mustang ones, that I don't know. I'll figure that part out, but I don't think I'm a douchebag. I don't think
Crock's not a douchebag.
Somebody, I don't know. Everybody got different opinions of everybody. So at least to my knowledge, I don't think I'm a douchebag.
Yeah, you're not. Dave, I just thought of a solution for this, man. I forgot to mention it. YouTube offers premium. If you pay premium, I think it's $19.99 a month or something like that. You get no commercials on YouTube. So if you pay that $19.99 to YouTube, you will see no commercials. I just thought about that. I wanted to just let you know in case you didn't. All right, man. When you're looking at this draft pool, all these rookies coming in, who's the most 49er-ish player that you see? Like, he's a 49er for sure, lock it in. I'm not going to hold you to it, but when you look at him, he seemed like a 49er. Is there a player like that too?
All right, so I'm going to start telling more stories about just my time in the NFL or just teammates I've had on Locked On. But we were talking about how you never know, right? Like from the outside looking in, we don't know about these guys. And I've had certain teammates that if I never played with the guy or if I was never in the locker room with him, I would never imagine that this guy was into like these things. So if we're just talking about a 49er on the field, right? Like just on the field, how a guy fits, I think my draft crush is the edge rusher out of Missouri, Robinson.
Oh yeah, you brought him up last time we talked. So that's the
Oh, I
guy.
like him.
Yeah.
I could see the fit, right? Like you don't have to be a Nick Bosa, but can you be a Minahu? Can you be these guys that can give you some pass rush productivity from the edge? But man, he's stout versus that run, right? Talk about anchor. You're not moving him. I watch him take on doubles, split double teams. How disruptive he is in the run game. Long guy. And he doesn't look like, I mean, he's listed at like 6'6", 6'5", 6'6", 285 pounds. But he doesn't look like 285. He looks like kind of longer, leaner. Maybe it's the all-black uniforms that Missouri wears. So when it comes to a 49er, I think I like him so much because I've seen other guys in this defense be productive, being able to do the things that he does. So I really like him. He seems like, now again, you don't know about the off-field stuff. I've been around some guys, right? I won't mention names. But I had a teammate from Fresno. All right, this one I'm on the Jets. And 5'11", 155 pounds. Probably smoked weed every day. Ended up getting kicked off because he got caught up with some smoking weed and got arrested. Some wild stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Looked like he never touched a weight in his life. But on the field, he was talented. He moved well. And in the weight room, again, 5'11", 155. I watched this guy who looked like he never touched weights. Bench press 315, easy, just And it's just so like you look at a guy like that and you're like, oh man, this is a freak, right? Like just a guy that has this crazy natural strength. He can do some things well, and he's a fluid guy and all this. But dang, he just off the field. A lot of times we're not privileged to have the knowledge of just a head case. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm talking about this edge rusher, I'm not talking about him being a 49er off the field. I have no idea. But on the field, I feel like this kid, Robinson, I believe, Missouri edge rusher, I like him a lot. I'm hoping he's there, and I hope that's the guy 49ers take.
Yeah, man, I've seen after you talked about it, I went and watched him, and he is ridiculous. When I look at this draft, I'm hoping that either, like I said, Byron Murphy or Jackson Powers drops. But if that doesn't happen, I think I would be, and they're probably not going to do this, but I feel like this offensive line needs to be heavily invested in for the future with Brock Purdy for years to come. They need to invest now or they're going to regret it at some point. And Graham Barton is hella athletic, and he's very heady. I think the 49ers could draft him and make him their long-term center. And then if the Rosengarten's there in the second round and they can get Graham Barton and Rosengarten, they both seem like Niners to me. I think that would give me hella hype because I think these 49ers need to invest in offensive line. Now, are they going to do that? Probably not. I would doubt they spend their first 2 picks on offensive line. That would be shocking.
We've seen it before, though. And that kind of helped develop one of the better 49ers offensive lines with Anthony Davis and Mike Capati. Yeah. Right? Like 49ers drafted those guys. I wanted Des Bryant.
Though, right?
Well, Harbaugh wasn't making the picks. It was
Balky.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Balky. It was the one that was drinking.
Yeah. It wasn't Balky at that time? Wasn't
it? Technically Balky was taking over, but it was the one that was McLuhan. Sorry, no disrespect, McLuhan. Scott McLuhan, he was the one, like that was kind of his class, but that was kind of his last guys. He did all the work. He did, everything that led up to it.
I don't care if he's drinking. We need him back this year. Like, bring him back.
But he was responsible for the 49ers going that route, drafting Anthony Davis and Mike Capati.
And you got to think Harbaugh was involved too, right? Because did you see what Harbaugh was talking about the offensive line? You would think Harbaugh was like, hey, let's do this too,
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's probably on board with it. But, I think he kind of trusted. And that's a big part of it, right? Trusting the GM to get the players that are going to fit what you like to do. And, I think they got that in those 2 guys. So we're not talking about 2 top 20 picks, but, we are talking about, hey, man, Barton, I know Peacock really likes him, and not so much as a tackle, but definitely as a guy who has interior offensive line versatility. He thinks he potentially is a really good center at the next level. But if you're saying, hey man, center guard, you get a tackle in Rosengarten in the second, really kind of being able to hopefully solidify that right side of your offensive line or that center position for long term, I think that's ideal for the 49ers.
I think 49er fans will be extremely happy, and me being one of them if they did that. Dave Barkley said, I'd rather pay you than more monthly bills. I respect that, man. I will try to like get it in my process where I turn the monetization on after I'm done. It's just I feel like I'm going to forget because Crock knows when you set up everything, you do it beforehand, and that's when you click the monetization button. If I have to remember another step to go back afterwards, I'm probably going to I'll forget too. Yeah, that's the problem, man. But I'll work on it, man. I'll try to figure out a solution. We'll see. We'll see where we go. And I appreciate your support, Dave. Thank you very much, man. Dude, he sent me a $99 super chat on Friday, and I played the horns for him. I probably should have done it on 50 because 50 is legit too, man. Thank you very much, bro. All right, man. Last question. Yeah. Last question, man. Who are most fans sleeping on in this draft? Like, who's a sleeper player for you in this draft?
I don't know. The tough thing is, I've just watched so many guys. It's hard to say who's kind of a sleeper, and it's tough to have sleepers nowadays because there's so much draft content out there. I feel like I see something on everybody. So it's like, oh, it's truly a sleeper. Like, here's 10 prospects nobody's talking about. It's like, I see them motherfuckers on my timeline every day. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's hard to find like that player that, nobody's really talking about. I mean, 5 years ago, it was much easier. I could say, man, I really like this corner.
Yeah.
Sneed from where's Sneed from? The corner that was locking up 49ers receiver in the Super Bowl. He's from Louisiana Tech. Everybody's talking about Robertson, but I watched the film and I see this other corner who's probably going to go a little bit later, but you can get him value. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was easier some years back, but now it's kind of hard to find like those true guys that nobody's really talking about.
Yeah, and this guy, you make a good point because people are talking about him, but I just don't think they have him rated high enough. And you're a DB expert. That means you're a wide receiver expert, basically. If you play DB, you know the wide receiver position. So, have you checked out Malik Washington from Virginia?
No.
Please do me a favor if you get time, man. Watch this guy because when I watch him, he feels like a star. And then people have him ranked from 3rd to 5th round, and I'm like, I think people are gonna look back like you're tripping not signing Malik Washington earlier. So if you get a second, man, go check out Malik Washington from Virginia. He's a wide receiver. He's a small dude, and that's probably why he's lower than where he should be. But he is so shifty. He goes at high points the ball like he's 6'3". He's got long arms. He's quick, man. Like, go watch Malik Washington out of Virginia. He's like lightweight, my draft crush.
Did you say he's small, but he's 6'3"?
No, but he plays like he's 6'3". Like, he'll go after the ball like he's 6'3", but he's only like, I think 5'9". He's a small dude.
Well, we just, you want to talk about a small guy. First of all, there's a couple smaller guys that just got paid. Devontae Smith, we talked about that earlier, getting $25 million a year. And people were scared of him. I'm like, well, he's really good at everything. Like, he dominates. Like, what is the issue? And at the NFL level, he's doing terrific. But Tank Dell, he killed it at the Senior Bowl. He killed it throughout his time at Houston, and that's a guy where it's like, oh man, like, he's awesome, right? He's killing it. He can do this, do that. You put him with a quarterback, he's stretching the field. And now nobody has. All I hear is excitement about the receiver core with the Houston Texans. I don't hear anybody be like, well, yeah, they got Nico and they got Diggs, but man, that Tank Dell, he's just a little too small. Would like to have somebody bigger. Like, no, they're like, nah, man, the Tank Dell, he's trouble. And that makes everything much better that they have from a pass catcher's standpoint. So, you talk about this kid out of Virginia. I'm excited to watch him, especially when you say he's a smaller guy but plays like he's 6'3". That's my type of receiver.
Yeah, I feel like people are going to look back like, damn, I can't believe they got him in the 3rd or the 4th round, whatever it ends up being. He's that good to me, man. So yeah, check him out, man. All you guys in the watching in the chat, watching all the viewers, check him out, brother. I really think he's gonna be a star. So we'll see. Crock, man, thanks as always, brother. What's going on with Locked On 49ers and on your channel? What do you got going on? Oh, you muted, bro.
I put myself on mute because something going off in the background. But not much going on my channel right now. I'm hoping, once this house situation gets settled, I move in. I get my stuff from Arkansas. I got stuff in Arkansas in storage, and I get my office set up. There'll be a lot more going on from my channel. And my wife said, well, I have to because, we got to pay a mortgage. But aside from that, that'll be soon. We'll say in the next 2 months. Now, as far as Locked On, man, we're coming at you 5 days a week. We're talking draft. We're talking prospects. We're talking 49ers football. Myself, Peacock. Peacock also has a spinoff of Locked On 49ers.
Let me interrupt you. Get Peacock to come on Friday. Every Friday I have a special guest. I want to talk to Peacock. I haven't reached out to him, but reach out to him for me. I'd love to have him on. I'll plug his new channel because he has a new channel now, right?
Yeah, man, he got a new channel doing his thing, and it's good stuff. He's gotten 49er content creators on already. He had on there Brad Graham. He had on there who else did he have? John Chapman. Oh, yeah, John Chapman on there. So he's had some people on there. He's getting guests on there, but he gets to kind of let loose a little bit. So make sure y'all follow my dog Peacock, one of the best in the business, man. It's called OT with BP. So
yeah, hit him up. Tell him I want him on a Friday, man, because I have special guests every Friday. I've never even talked to him before, so I would love to have him on, and I'll help plug.
Peacock's the man. Tall dude, great voice. He's tall, like 6'5".
Is he tall? He doesn't even look tall on YouTube. Like you wouldn't think he was tall on YouTube, but
he's like 6'4", 6'5". Yeah.
Yeah, people say that about me too. They're like, I thought you were shorter than you are, man. But I'm like,
no, you're like 6'2", huh? 6'3",
yeah. But it's interesting, the perspective on YouTube. But Crock, man, I appreciate you, man. Good to see you, brother. Next Monday, man, let's do a mock.
Let's do it, baby.
I appreciate you guys. I'll be on with Grant at 11, and I'll be back on Wednesday with the coach. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate it. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good day. Thank you so much for watching the Ryan G. Hensley Show. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. The Ryan G. Hensley Show is brought to you by Hensley Real Estate and Mortgage. I've been operating my real estate business in the state of California since 2009, and I would love to help your family. We are also sponsored by Hensley Solar. I can put solar on your house in up to 38 states. Underdog Fantasy is a sponsor of the channel. Please check out the details in the description to see how you can join Underdog Fantasy and get $100 matched in your initial deposit. And finally, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, Blue Water Credit. They are the best credit repair company I've ever dealt with. If you want to fix your credit, reach out to Blue Water Credit. Details in the description for all of my sponsors.